Hi, I'm Una. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about my magical readathon TBR. Let's get into it. So this is actually the first time I'm ever doing magical readathon. I did know about it back in the spring, but I just felt a little bit overwhelmed by everything. So I guess not ideal, but I'm gonna be starting now with a little bit more of a challenge, which is fine with me. So I created my magical readathon character, whose name is Thevin Azurvale, and I'm an elf in the Guild of the Arcane, and my calling is gonna be Archmage. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm a novice because it was just created. I used the random website, random D&D character generation website called Who the Fuck Is My D&D Character, and the kind of flavor that gave me was an elf raised in a poorly run orphanage haunted by his father's ghost. So I thought that I would kind of use that to inform my background. So I said I grew up in an urban setting because an orphanage, I feel like those are usually in urban locations in the province of Erytheria, I think is how it's pronounced. That seems like kind of the city area. My heritage is elf, and my lunar phase at birth was unnoted. I figured orphanage, maybe they don't keep great records. Yeah, I chose the orb as my conduit. I just chose it. I would like to later read for these background things too. I think that's fun, maybe as a challenge in a future month. And my legacy is a ring of protection. In my headcanon for my character, that ring is inherited from my father, and maybe that's even what the ghost is haunting. Which I know it doesn't necessarily fit exactly with the universe, but I just thought it would be fun. So yeah, like I said, my calling is going to be Archmage, so I will take you through the prompts for that. So to be an Archmage this semester, I need to get a D in alchemy. So I need to read all 3 levels of alchemy. So first, for an emotional read, I'm going to be reading We Are Not Free, which is basically a historical fiction about Japanese teens right after the in San Francisco, in Japantown, San Francisco, which is my hometown, not Japantown, but San Francisco is my hometown, right after the attack on Pearl Harbor. So dealing with discrimination against Japanese people and Japanese Americans, and kind of the way that they're treated both by people and by the government. So yeah, I feel like this is definitely going to be emotional. These kids are going through a lot, and I also found this in a Little Free Library, so I'm actually doing another challenge where this counts as a Little Free Library found. But yeah, I'm super pleased with that because I had never heard about this book before that. Next, for a book that was originally self-published and is now traditionally published, I'm going to be trying to get Blood Over Brighthaven from my library. They do have a copy now because it's traditionally published, but it's coming out very soon. It's just not quite out yet, I believe. So I will see if I can do that. Otherwise, there's also a copy you might be able to get on Libby, but we will see. I do have a couple other options for that prompt, just in case those don't come through, and both of those audiobooks are on Hoopla, so I should be able to get them no problem. And then for food on the cover, I'm going to be reading Julia Hungry by Hannah Louise Poston. If any of you guys know, Hannah Louise Poston is actually a beauty YouTuber. She's really cool, but she her education and everything is in poetry, and she's incredible. She did one Get Ready With Me all in iambic pentameter, which was incredible. So yeah, this is her book of poetry that just came out this year, and I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit of food on the plate. So I want to read this anyway because I don't read poetry a lot, but I got it and I want to support her and I want to read her work. So yeah, I will be reading Julia Hungry. So that was O, Q, and then D. For inscription, I need a Q and an inscription. So the first one is for the O level, it's a book that has all of the letters of your first name in the title. I'm going to be reading Marriage of a Thousand Lies by S.J. Sindhu. This is not available through my library, but it is available through Libby, through a different library. So I'll be reading the ebook or maybe audiobook of that. And that has all the letters of my first name in it. And then for the level Q, it was a color wheel for the title color, and I got white. So I'm going to be reading How Long Till Black History Month. This is another book that's in a challenge that I'm doing this year for a collection of short stories written by a Black author, and it's N.K. Jemisin, who I read the 5th season and I loved it, so I'm pretty excited, and that's available from my library as well. So I don't have either of those with me yet. For the O and Artificery, you had to read a book the color of your birthstone. I was born in October, my birthstone is like an opal, so I figured this has some kind of opalescent feels to it. This is Birds Without Wings by Louis de Bernier. I don't know, he's British, so I don't know if his name is actually pronounced like that. But this I'm actually already reading, which is bending the rules a little bit, but this book has been taking me forever and there's still a lot of it left to go. It's a pretty slow moving book. It's a historical fiction set at the end of the Ottoman Empire in a small town near Izmir, I think, or Smyrna, and just kind of exploring the lives of all the characters and how they relate to each other and how different communities are kind of living together in this town, and then how they're kind of torn apart. So especially focuses on relationships between Christians and Muslims, and between Christians and Muslims and Armenians, who are also Christians but kind of different, differentiated from Greek Orthodox Christians. And even a little bit of talk about Jews, which is actually a lot of what I studied in my undergrad was Jews in the Ottoman Empire, but they're not as focused on in this, which is fine. But yeah, I've already been reading it for like 2 months and I've only gotten a third of the way through, so I want to hunker down and read this for Magical Readathon too. And then for spells and incantations, I need a Q. So the first one is a 5-star prediction, and for that I'm reading Moby Dyke, an obsessive quest to track down the last remaining lesbian bars in America. This is a nonfiction, but it's kind of like an adventure story going through the country, the US, and going to all these lesbian bars. So like, this is not a part of queer history I know a lot about. I don't know a lot of lesbian bars. I mean, I know of a couple. I've never been to one actually. I would like to go, but there aren't that many left. So yeah, I thought this would be fun and informative and a little bit sad. So that's my 5-star prediction. I love queer history. It just seems like a good time. And then finally for Q, I need a book shown in a book roast video. I'm going to be reading The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I saw this in one of her videos, and then the sequel also in one of her videos, and I'm hoping to get the audiobook off of Libby, and it should come through in the next couple weeks or so. So yeah, that is my Magical Readathon TBR. Now I will say, I'm kind of doing this with the caveat that if I blast through these and I'm like, which probably won't happen, but if I get through these and all the ones I didn't even show you quickly, I kind of want to try to do Alchemist, which is a lot of the same prompts but a couple additional prompts too, but it overlaps like a lot. So the alchemy is all the same, inscription is all the same, spells and incantations is all the same, and then I just need 1 more book in demonology, 2 books in lore, and 1 book in animal studies, and 1 book in astronomy. So that's like 5 more books. So I might switch to that like midway through the month if I feel like I'm going at a really fast pace, but it probably won't be. And I also want to reserve the right on a couple of these to switch them out for a book that fulfills the same prompt if I'm just really not in the mood for it, or I end up reading this other book anyways and I want it to kind of count for Magical Readathon or something. I reserve the right to do that. So yeah, that's my Magical Readathon TBR. I do have other books I also want to read this month. I have a lot of ongoing challenges on Storygraph. So for example, I've been trying to read a classic every month, which hasn't been going well, so I have 2 classics I would like to read this month, which are Dracula and Pride and Prejudice. I feel like Dracula, the fall vibes are obvious. Pride and Prejudice, I believe, also would feel nice reading at this time of year, and I just really want to read these guys. And then I also have this book, Old Jules Country, which is a recommendation from my grandfather. That's in one of my challenges, and it's a nonfiction. I mean, this is also a nonfiction, but I want to read this because I'm currently living near my grandfather and I could discuss it with him, and it's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. And then this is a book I've been in the middle of forever, which it's an encyclopedia kind of wide array of things book, so it's not necessarily the easy, I mean, you can pretty much just read it straight through, but I've been like basically halfway through for about 2 years, so I'd like to just finish this off and have it help me out for some other prompts. But yeah, this is the newest Jewish encyclopedia, everything from Abraham to Zabars and everything in between. written by the co-host of a podcast I really like, and just kind of a nice little survey into some corners of Jewish culture, Jewish history, and religion that you might not know, which is my kind of thing. So yeah, I also have plenty of other library books I'd love to get to. I have some books I'm hoping to finish by the end of this month that I don't know that I will, but that's kind of the broad overview of my TBR for this month. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you're doing Magical Readathon and who your character is, and maybe what book or what prompt on the list you're most excited about. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!